Hare Krishna. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. So His Grace Radha Gopinath Prabhu on the Balram Jayanti day was mentioning first purpose of ISKCON, which was established by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He was mentioning about the system and the systematic. So Srila Prabhupada established a wonderful system in the ISKCON circle, which we all demonstrate, which he has demonstrated every day, right from Mangal Aarti to the Shayan Darshan. You see the system, it's so meticulously done, Srila Prabhupada, and all the management gurus have to really learn from him, Srila Prabhupada, and it is such a flawless one, and it's so enjoyable, and everybody enjoys it, whether it is Kirtan, Bhagavad Katha, and so on, up to Prasadam, and the Shayan Darshan, how beautiful it is, and you have meticulously done. Your disciples and grand disciples exhibit great qualities of yours and the values which they impart down the line to the other generations. Srila Narada Muni carried his veena and went on preaching and giving Lord Sri Narayana Krishna to everybody. And you, Srila Prabhupada, were so merciful in giving Hare Krishna Mahamantra to everybody. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. It's nice, Prabhupada, every day to chant this, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and we feel very happy about it. And those who come and when they see us chanting, and they are also quite inquisitive. Of course, to begin with, it was very difficult. Then afterwards, once we understood the value of it, and it's so enjoyable. Thank you so much for Prabhupada. And this you gave it irrespective of the caste, religion, color, creed, whether they are rich or poor, as we are saying the peace here, and all of them got your mercy through the holy name. One of our counselee today in Navi Mumbai congregation, she has been invited by Sri Radha Madan Mohanji Temple, Kargar, to demonstrate the Bharatanatyam, to perform there as a part of the 3-day festival. And she just called me that, pray for me, the performance goes on well. Then I asked her, what is the theme? She said, the song is, Yadi Prabhupada na hoto. So there also, your great grand disciples also, Prabhupada, they love you so much. They have heard about you so much, and automatically, the love flows from the heart for you. Yesterday, during this wonderful festival of Krishna Janmashtami, so many guests, Srila Prabhupada came, and everybody was so appreciative about you, that even at the age of 70, what you have done, we are not able to do at the age of 40, 45, or even below that. And seeing your, disciples and grand disciples, like so many elderly people, like Radha Krishna Prabhu, Mahaprabhu Prabhu, Sahadev Prabhu, when we see them, we are so much encouraged, and we don't know where this, stamina and all this enthusiasm is coming, and it is quite infectious. And thank you so much, Prabhupada. Everybody was so appreciative, and in fact, Radha Krishna Prabhu told one of the guests that only today you don't come, you please keep on coming to this temple every time. And this person is a very big shot in DSP, and he has committed that I never experienced in my life such a wonderful darshan, and it is so transcendental and purifying, and all my tension today, which he was carrying from the stock market, he says it has gone, Srila Prabhupada. Because stock market keeps on dancing, and today it was worst. The term appearance and disappearance, when we came to ISKCON, we are not able to relate this, Srila Prabhupada. But for us, Srila Prabhupada, every minute you are appearing for us in the form of when we chant, when we hear Bhagavatam, when we read Bhagavatam, and we read so many scriptures which you have been, taken so much pain, and especially when we distribute the books, at that time we realize how much hard, work you have done for that, and how easily we have got this Krishna consciousness. And Srila Prabhupada, I am praying for myself and everybody here that till the last breath, Srila Prabhupada, we should be committed to this glorious movement of your ISKCON, and which you have created such a great brand value today, and no investment banker or the merchant banker cannot estimate this in terms of material, whatever crores they want to put. It is next impossible. Thanks you so much, Srila Prabhupada. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Now Radha Prabhu will make his offering. Meanwhile, Avatar Lila will be ready, and next will be Rajmohan Prabhu.
Prabhupada Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshitarine. Srila Prabhupada, you have always been my hero right from the first time when I was introduced to ISKCON, because my introduction to ISKCON was through the book, the condensed version of your own Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit. I remember the first time I was handed this book. Being an avid reader, at least I would like to consider I was an avid reader until I came in contact with your Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita and Bhagavad Gita as it is. But being an avid reader, I would like to read books, especially books which were autobiographical in nature or biographical in nature. And I must tell you, Prabhupada, Lilamrit completely floored me. It was like, as they would say in New York Times or in other publications, an unput-downable book for me. I never understood that how could a story of an old Indian sadhu be so gripping that I could not wait to reach to the end. What actually happened? What happened next? The entire episode of the Hare Krishna land in Juhu was so vivid. Even today, more than 25 years since I have read that book first time, it is so vivid for me in my memory. When I was reading those pages, I was turning those pages with so much eagerness. What is going to happen next? What is going to happen next? Will Swamiji get this land? Will he not get this land? And it was so amazing for me. And from then on, I was actually hooked. You were always my hero. I said, this is a person who actually walks his talk. And I think that was what appealed to the youth of America. When you walked in to the hippie movement, where young people would never even listen to anybody from the elderly generation, but they listened to you. They listened to you because they could also understand, they could also appreciate, they could also see for themselves that you actually walk your talk. You are not just talking big things but not practicing them. You actually walk your talk. And one of the first things that struck me, especially every day morning when we sing the Guru Vandana, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittete Koriyaha Aikya. You present such a sterling example of this particular line. First time you met your Guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he just mentioned that you are an educated young man. Why don't you preach the gospel of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the English language? He never mentioned again. He spoke to you about publishing books and various other things, but he never repeated this particular instruction about preaching in the English language. He just said it the first time you all met, but you took it straight to your heart. Even in your fledgling attempts by publishing Back to Godhead magazine, which you started in 1944, you started publishing it in English, not in Hindi, where you could have achieved some sort of a mass appeal. Even after taking sannyas at the Keshavji Gaudiya Math, when you gave your first address, even though the audience comprised of a few Bengali widows and other people who hardly any of them would be knowing English, but still you gave your first address after sannyas in English. So this you are actually living, and then again wherever you tried your attempts at preaching, it was always in the English language. Even though it was proven, many of your senior godbrothers, sannyasi godbrothers, they had been to the West, they had come back and said that the West is not ready for Krishna consciousness, but you were not deterred. You just went on ahead. So that again shows how determined you are, how you had taken this particular statement of your Guru Maharaj to your heart, that you have to preach in the English language. And just now, as Baldev Prabhu was saying, that since you have said that these books of mine will be there for 10,000 years, so therefore, because it is spoken by a pure devotee of the Lord, so therefore it will come true. Similarly, I feel that all of us, especially this lowly self, myself, we have got this opportunity here to be in this assembly of Shri Radha Gopinath Mandir. All of this, actually, the seed comes from your own desire to have a center in this particular area which you expressed to His Grace Shyam Sundar Prabhu on the steps of Bharati Vidya Bhavan. So, as Vamshidhar Prabhu also mentioned, you appear in every moment of our life, through everything. Even the very fact that we are somehow connected to your movement by being connected to this particular Shri Radha Gopinath Mandir, which also is a manifestation of your own desire. So everything that is there in our life, in our Krishna conscious life, is actually through your intense desire to give this intense desire of your compassion to spread this message of Krishna consciousness, to spread the holy name, and to take more and more number of living entities in this material world back home, back to Godhead. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for all your efforts at an advanced stage, and even now you are still attracting people, more and more people, to go back home, back to Godhead. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. Hare
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Radha Prabhu. And Srila Prabhu goes ahead to make his offering. Braj Mohan Prabhu, please be ready, and next is Sankirtan Prabhu.
Krishna. 120 years back from today, the Senapati Bhakt of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's army had appeared to fulfill the prophecy of Lord Chaitanya. World had rarely seen a multifaceted personality like yourself, Srila Prabhupada. In my humble attempt, I'll try to enumerate few of them. It's rare to find a person who can envision and lead a spiritual movement in an environment completely hostile to spiritual values. You were an empowered visionary leader who had complete faith and could foresee the fulfillment of Lord Chaitanya's prophecy. You traveled around the globe 14 times in 12 years, establishing 108 temples, inspiring individuals and communities in their practice of Krishna consciousness. As a leader, you were forever ready to protect ISKCON against any kind of threats, whether internal or external. It's far more rarer to find a person who can not only give vision, but also manage to implement that vision. You were a powerful manager who gave concrete shape to your vision. As a 70-year-old man, you traveled extensively and oversaw management of so many temples and farm communities. You personally oversaw the construction and management of 3 important projects in India, which has become beacon lights of a spiritual dissemination. And you did all this without aid of any modern systems of communications. Another very crucial aspect of your personality was your scholarship. You shared your consciousness with the rest of the world for all time to come in the form of your Bhaktivedanta purports. Your purports are like lighthouses for the jivas like us who are drowning in the ocean of material existence. Looking at the original Srimad Bhagavatam Sanskrit commentaries of Acharyas, one could hardly imagine the kind of patience and perseverance you undertook in giving us those purports. You deftly established the natural process of Krishna consciousness and defeated any kind of traditional or modern oppositions to the philosophy of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. We may not understand the rare fortune of having Srimad Bhagavatam translations available in the language of our choice, but in the late 1950s, there were only 2 English translations of Srimad Bhagavatam that were available in the world, one at Harvard and another at Yale. And that's what impressed the Professor Thomas Hopkins by your literary scholarship. However, there were many Vedic scholars, but very few are able to teach it in an easy manner to others. You painstakingly taught your disciples in the philosophy and culture of Krishna consciousness. From teaching cooking to boldly preaching, you are an immaculate teacher. Your simple examples from everyday life would disarm even the toughest opponents. You are an ideal leader, an efficient manager, an impeccable scholar, and a patient teacher. You gave us everything that we need to perfect our lives and be fully Krishna conscious. The only personality which I could think of manifesting all these 4 qualities simultaneously was Jiva Goswami, who laid the foundation of this mission for all time to come. In an interview, Professor Thomas J. Hopkins, who was professor of religious studies at Franklin and Marshall College in Pennsylvania, said, quote, "It's an astonishing story. If someone told you a story like this, you won't believe it. Here is this person. He's 70 years old. He's going to a country where he's never been before. He doesn't know anybody there. He has no money, has no contacts. He has none of the things you would say that make for success. He's going to recruit people, not on any systematic basis, but just picking up whomever he comes across, and is going to give them responsibility for organizing a worldwide movement." You would say, what kind of program is that? There are precedents, perhaps. Jesus of Nazareth went around saying, "Come follow me, drop your nets or leave your tax collecting and come with me and be my disciple." But in his case, he wasn't an old man in a strange society dealing with people whose backgrounds were totally different from his own. He was dealing with his own community. Bhaktivedanta Swami's achievement then must be seen as unique. Quote, "On this day, Srila Prabhupada, I humbly pray that let my thinking, feeling and willing be based and be in synchronism with your purports. I humbly beg forgiveness for my shortcomings and weaknesses and pray for renewed strength to imbibe your teachings and share it with others as well." Thank you, Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Atarila Prabhu, for your heartfelt and well-researched offering. As Braj Mohan Prabhu makes his offering and Sankirtan Prabhu is ready, after him is Dayalu Ram Prabhu. He can also be ready.
Hare Krishna, dear Srila Prabhupada. A rough sketch of this offering I had made to the online tribute, and then when I was asked, I thought, let me offer this at your lotus feet directly. Dear Srila Prabhupada, I would like to compare your personality and glory with 2 of the biggest corporations. Now there is this famous company Amazon, where they promise everything under the sun can be delivered. But you, Srila Prabhupada, not just delivered everything under the sun, but gave us a process by which we can go above the sun to the supreme home, the spiritual world. They also claim, as their name says, that from A to Z everything they provide, all the things to make us happy. But worldly things don't make the world happy. And you gave the formula that chant Hare Krishna and be happy. And I was just reflecting that the pure devotee like you has 26 qualities, and today happens to be 26th also, and you went to 26th 2nd Avenue to start this International Society of Krishna Consciousness. And the greatness of these 26 qualities is that one who has these 26 can conquer the Supreme Lord who has 64. So amazing maths where 26 can conquer 64. Another comparison I would like to make is that of apple. In the history of human race, it says that there are, in different revolutions, somehow the apples were involved. The first apple that changed the world was known as the Adam's apple, when the allegorical forbidden apple was eaten by Adam and Eve, and God condemned them. So a revolution of sin began because of eating an unoffered apple. And second apple that revolutionized the world was Newton's apple. This apple fell on somebody, Newton, and then he started wondering, and scientific revolution began. Then the third was the Beatles apple. Beatles started the Apple records, and the whole pop culture started rocking and rolling the world. And the fourth, the most famous one, is the Steve Jobs apple, which created the technological revolution. And the world only knows of these four apples that changed the world, but none of these apples changed the humanity. Only they changed the facilities that are there. But Srila Prabhupada also had an apple. Srila Radhanath Maharaj always says this story, that in the initial days in New York, just like here, when he would invite people for the program, he had no prasad to offer them. Today we have a grand feast, but that time there was no prasad to offer. So you would just have few apples, and whoever used to come used to cut those apples and offer it to Krishna and offer them back with such grace and love and kindness that taking these apple slices just transformed these devotees and surrendered their lives. So as I had kept, so by offering these apples, Srila Prabhupada started a spiritual revolution. So an unoffered apple had started the sin revolution, and by eating Prabhupada's apple, the sin ended for the world and a spiritual revolution began. We are very grateful to Srila Prabhupada that he gave us this offered apple ISKCON. There is a saying, an apple a day keeps a doctor away, and an offered apple a day keeps Maya away. Srila Prabhupada engaged all the other apples. He didn't leave the other apples. He also engaged all the apples in Krishna's service, and amazingly all his servants and disciples are also continuing the legacy. The first, the sin revolution that began, all these different high class cities are there. So Prabhupada erected temples in the sin capitals of the world like New York, Moscow, London, Bombay. The scientific revolution, Srila Prabhupada established Bhaktivedanta Institute and gave us the real scientific vision through his books. What is real knowledge? The third, cultural revolution that the Beatles began, he engaged George Harrison and people like that to sing pop tunes with Krishna lyrics and brought so many of the Western devotees to the movement. And fourth was posthumous. After Prabhupada left, this technological revolution began. But Srila Prabhupada, through his example, exemplified the principle of Yukta Vairagya, how different devices or technologies can be used for serving Prabhupada. So it is often said that four apples change the world, but it is your offered apple of mercy that is a hope to change humanity. So we are grateful to you, Prabhupada, for offering us this apple, blessed apple, praying that we can accept this gift and share this with others. Your insignificant servant, Brajmohan Das.
As Sankirtan Prabhu makes his offering and Dayaluram Prabhu is ready, after that Mukunda Prabhu can come ahead for his offering.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, first of all, very grateful to you for giving this ISKCON society. And this year happens to be the 50th year, Golden Jubilee year of ISKCON. So this is a very, very special year we are able to witness, and grateful to all the trustees of this temple to make this temple so beautiful, and all the devotees who have worked hard to give the memories of early ISKCON. So, Srila Prabhupada, we can see that he started this movement in a very, very revolutionary way, going alone on a cargo ship with almost no money. At the age of 70, we cannot imagine what would be the condition of the health. But Srila Prabhupada took that great service because of his spiritual master who had given that order. And Srila Prabhupada, he took that great austerity. He sacrificed his comforts, staying in Vrindavan, going in the West and preaching to the Western people, those who do not believe in God. That itself is a revolutionary preaching or a revolutionary outreach, we can say. And what faith Srila Prabhupada had. Tremendous faith in the name of the holy chanting, in the order of his spiritual master. When he went, it was not an easy task. So many hardships, heart attacks on the boat. But still Srila Prabhupada did not give it up. And we can see that Srila Prabhupada's vision was very, very clear. He knew that if this message has to expand, I am starting this single-handedly, then there has to be institution, there has to be a society. In India, before going also, he was trying to establish that League of Devotees, but somehow that was not successful in India. But Srila Prabhupada, he took that great task and established this movement in 1966. And he named that society as International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He knew that it will not be easy task, because when the society starts expanding, different types of people come, management, so many things happen. So on management, Srila Prabhupada says that management is an art of bending the people without breaking them. That is the art of management. And we can see that Srila Prabhupada was so expert in dealing with different types of people. They were from different backgrounds, and engaging them in varieties of creative services. Srila Prabhupada did not make this society as some kind of theosophical society in which only scholars would come and debate or something. But he made this society in such a way that all types of people can get involved. That is the real beauty of this society. And there are varieties of services: deity worship, book distribution, printing of the books, and prasadam distribution. So anybody has any talent, any great quality, that can be engaged in service of Lord Krishna. That is the wonderful way of making spiritual life a very creative life. And lastly, Srila Prabhupada knew that it is going to expand and there will be different types of people. So Srila Prabhupada wanted that devotees to cooperate. He said that your love to me shall be shown by how we cooperate with each other. So I would like to end. So I am very grateful to Srila Prabhupada for giving an opportunity to serve in this great mission. Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Can you imagine someone buys a ticket on his trip to USA, and then his friends ask him, why are you going to America? And then he says, I want to go to America to embrace a tree. Just to embrace a tree. So, few years back, I read an article in Bhaktivedanta magazine, Marathi magazine, Jau Devacha Gava, and one author mentioned there that I went all the way to America just to embrace a tree. And which tree was this? Tompkins Square Park, the same tree. So he went to America, clicked his photo and embraced the tree. This is the highlight of my visit to America. So we thought today's MC for our program should be that devotee who went to embrace a tree to America. And this is Yuga Avatar Prabhu here. Hare Krishna. So we are waiting for him. We are stuck up in traffic jam. So I am passing the baton to him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, there are some people who are called as late Latif, and I am one of them. Of course, this article which Baldev Prabhu was mentioning about just to embrace the tree was also published in the international BTG. When my sister firstly asked me when I was about to visit US, my cousin sister over there, she said, "Where do you want to go in New York?" She thought I want to see the Statue of Liberty or the tallest building. I said, "No. I just want to see that tree below which Srila Prabhupada was chanting." And then we went searching for the Tompkins Square Park, and ultimately we reached the tree. There on the tree is written Hare Krishna tree, and so many devotees go there and worship. So when I was worshipping the tree, I was praying near the tree. My sister asked me, "What are you praying for?" She is also a devotee, Gokul Priya Mataji from New Jersey congregation. I said, like we worship so many trees in ISKCON. For example, we worship the Siddha Bakula tree because Haridas Thakur, Srila Haridas Thakur chanted below it. We worship the neem tree below which Lord Chaitanya was born. So I said, this tree below which Srila Prabhupada is sitting is a tree below which Srila Prabhupada chanted like Srila Haridas Thakur. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born below a neem tree, and the International Society for Krishna Consciousness was born here below a tree called as Hare Krishna tree. Therefore this tree is worshipable for all of us, and this tree has witnessed the magic. So with this I'll request Dayaluram Prabhu to make his offering.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As a parent and as an educator, we hear this question many a times. How can we make our children Krishna conscious? Prabhupada, having read some of your childhood pastimes, I got a clue. You are a pet of your parents, and you are very grateful for the loving times you spent in your childhood with them. And I would like to narrate some of these incidents. You said you enjoyed walking with your father for 10 miles practically every day, enjoying his company. You enjoyed going to the beach for years with him, and also to the circus. When you wanted to have your own rath, you went along with him to the market, were disappointed that the rath was quite expensive. You returned back home. On your way home, you met an old lady who gave her old cart to you. You and your father worked on the cart, painted it, decorated it together, and made it as similar to the rath at Jagannath Puri. Prabhupada, you were quite pampered also. I mean, your grandmother used to call you Kachori Mukhi, because you were fond of collecting kachoris. You had this vest, the banyan, which had multiple pockets inside and outside, and all of them were filled with kachoris. And one day when you asked your mother that you want to have kachoris, she refused, and you were very disappointed, and you went to bed. When your father came home and he found out that you went to sleep without having kachoris, he woke you up, he made puris and kachoris and served you. One day you went with your father to the market and you wanted to buy a gun, which he bought for you. And then you said, I want to buy one more. When your father asked you why, you said, for my other hand. Possibly you were collecting ammunition to shoot Maya. But your father didn't accept your logic. He said, no, I'm sorry, you will only get one gun. And you fell on the ground, you started beating the ground, you started creating a ruckus, and he was forced to buy you one more gun. These loving moments of your childhood have been with you forever. And these loving moments made your heart receptive to the devotional practices of your family, like doing Aarti every day, inviting saints home, offering them respect and prasadam, being a part of the festivals. What I hear, Srila Prabhupada, is that you tell us not to force children to practice Krishna consciousness. Even Krishna does not force us. What you tell us is that give them so much love and happiness in Krishna consciousness that their heart becomes receptive to bhakti. And you say that is actually Krishna consciousness for children. So as an educator, as a parent, we are endeavoring to give our children as many happy and loving moments in Krishna consciousness so that they become more and more receptive to Krishna's love. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Dayaluram Prabhu. Very perfectly you picked up the parenting principles, which is the area of your interest. I'll request Navin Nirak Prabhu to make his offering, and Srinathji Prabhu, please be ready.
Hare Krishna. Dear Srila Prabhupada, we are all very fortunate today to be here at your lotus feet. It is because of your great outstanding qualities and surrender to your spiritual master that we are all here assembled today. I'd like to reflect upon a few of your outstanding qualities. One of them is that you are always available and accessible to us, even today, in your instructions. When we read your books, we have full access to your devotional ecstasies. You once mentioned that I only have one criticism to my followers, that they do not read my books enough. You're always available to us in your books, and your door is always open, like you used to have open darshan on a daily basis. People who come in and sit at your lotus feet and ask you any type of question. So we're very fortunate that you're accessible to everybody who finds the desire in his heart to approach you. Also, you have shown us what it means to be loyal to tradition and at the same time be innovative. You came to the West and did not compromise with your Vaishnava Siddhanta, nor your appearance, nor your presentation of Krishna consciousness, but you gave the unadulterated, substantial truth of Krishna Bhakti. At the same time, you were ready to make adjustments in details in order to reach your audience by creating the ISKCON Society and finding different avenues to share Krishna consciousness as it has never been done before in this tradition. You rode in cars, took airplanes, used dictaphones. When you talked to Nishingananda and others, Yadubari said, yes, you should use film, you should use any type of technology to spread Krishna consciousness. So in this way, you have shown us what it means to be relevant to the people of our times. I'm reflecting upon these qualities because by associating with you, I pray that one day I will also be able to reflect some of those qualities and be able to touch people's lives in a small way. We can see how you have touched countless people's lives, and you're still touching countless people's lives, because what is not sustainable will not sustain. Kali Yuga, this mature world, is not sustainable, but the Hare Krishna movement and the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, will always sustain, because it's sustainable. It's the only thing that is actually truly eternal and spiritual of nature. And you have given us this process of Krishna consciousness which is sustainable. And you have shown us the way how to live a Krishna conscious life in this unsustainable situation of Kali Yuga. And I thank you for that, for your example, for your encouragement, for your compassion, and for giving us whatever we are aspiring for. You have given us meaning, you have given us a mission, you have given us family, you have given us community, and most and foremost, you have given us Krishna and love for Krishna, which makes life meaningful and which makes life fulfilling. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. All glories to your divine grace. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki. I know Srila Prabhupada changed life of so many devotees, and it's very difficult to express that change in 2 minutes. But still I will request, there are so many devotees whose life has been changed by Prabhupada, so waiting to make their offering, so please restrict the offering to 2 minutes. As Srinathji Prabhu makes his offering, I'll request His Grace Radha Krishna Prabhu and Radharani Mataji to be ready.
Since I have 2 minutes, I'll summarize what we have offered, which has appeared in Prabhupada's Vyas offering book. This is on behalf of the servants of ISKCON Chowpatty, Mumbai, India. Dear Srila Prabhupada, during our discussions with you, I observed that you had very logical and scientific explanations for questions that had baffled the scientists for hundreds of years. All your explanations were based on Vedic Sanatana Dharma books known as Shastras, which you meticulously provided with your own purports. Haribol. You meticulously provided with your own purport so that we could understand these ancient Sanskrit shlokas, which were up till then not clear to anyone in a modern scientific way. I cut short. The establishment of Krishna consciousness for the first time in human history by anyone using clear scientific explanation is a unique feature of your preaching. The 10,000-year golden period of this earth will now start because the scientists who are leading most of the world's population are slowly becoming aware of a much higher authority who really controls all the activities and achievements of human beings. This understanding defeats the Mayavadis and others. You came down from your spiritual home and provided and proved that you are the Saktavesh avatar, the empowered scientist of Krishna consciousness. Some of the scientists and engineers like me who developed weapons such as from the worst atom bombs and started to feel great remorse. They now feel that the entire human race is in great danger and that people must turn to spiritual consciousness that leads to surrender to the Lord. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for bringing the profound concepts of Krishna consciousness to us in this earth, helping not only common people but even scientists and engineers who had huge amount of false pride and breaking their false pride by the weapon of absolute truth. You explained that the absolute truth is a person, supreme person, who controls Mother Nature and everything else, and who takes the basic material ingredients and makes the infinite variety of material objects. We are eternally indebted to you for transforming the consciousness of scientists and engineers of the world. At ISKCON Chowpatty, we have the maximum devotees who are scientists and engineers. Hence I emphasize that. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Srinathji Prabhu. We all say that Srila Prabhupada has built a home where the whole world can live. And once we talk about a home, then we need engineers also to light up the home. And Srinathji Prabhu has been so kind enough to light up this home of Srila Prabhupada and also providing AC in this home where all of us can live and sit very nicely. I'll request Radha Krishna Prabhu to make his offering and Radharani Mataji and Madhuri Mataji to be ready.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, on this auspicious occasion, especially on this 50th year celebration of ISKCON, throughout the world, devotees are engaged in carrying out different activities and events to propagate and to make it known to the whole world your glories, which have induced millions of people in the world to take to Krishna consciousness. You gave us so much. You gave us beautiful books, you gave us beautiful temples, you gave us beautiful disciples who would carry out this legacy forward. And you also gave us practical method of propagating this wonderful science. You gave us the opportunity to distribute your books. You gave us the opportunity to distribute the holy name. And you also gave us the opportunity to distribute Krishna Prasad. In this year, I am very glad to inform you, Srila Prabhupada, that we at Anamrita have opened a new chapter of distributing Prasad. The authorities of the Municipal Corporation of Mumbai were so happy with our distributing the midday meals that they requested us to set up a kitchen in one of the hospitals. They gave us space to set up that kitchen, and they even subsidized that meal that we provide to the patients. This was at the Cooper Hospital, which was inaugurated by the Chief Minister of Maharashtra on the 5th of May. Soon, the authorities from the Sivri TB Hospital approached us and said, why don't you provide meals which are cooked here in Cooper Hospital and provide them to the patients of Sivri Hospital, which is the Asia's largest TB hospital, having 1200 patients there. And only last week, Srila Prabhupada, the doctors and the students are feeling so envious of the patients that they are saying, why should only the patients get such wonderful prasad, even we should get. So we have started a canteen especially for the doctors and the students. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Radha Krishna Prabhu. Since I am an employee of Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai, on behalf of Municipal Corporation, I thank you for that also. So as Radharani Mataji is making her offering, I'll request Madhuri Mataji and Prahlad Priya Prabhu to.
Hare Krishna. Muralidhar Prabhu and myself were reading some letters by Srila Prabhupada, and we were very much inspired, as all Prabhupada's communication, his books, every word is very inspiring. So in these letters, Prabhupada is actually struggling because he wanted to establish a temple in New York, and a person from Bombay, Singhania, Mr. Singhania, had promised to give 7 lakhs, but he had left it to Prabhupada to connect to the government and get the rupees exchanged into dollars. But when Prabhupada contacted the government, they could not sanction that because of there was some foreign exchange stringency or something like that. Now Prabhupada felt as if his hands were tied because the government, the Indian embassy had taken a written undertaking from him that he would not approach the Americans for funds. So he could not get funds from India, he could not approach the Americans for funds. So now Prabhupada is writing a series of letters to the different authorities, to his godbrothers in India asking for help. And these letters show his clarity of thinking, his attention to detail, his precision, his desire for cooperation, and his wanting to involve his godbrothers in what he was doing. And he writes a very beautiful statement. He mentions that now my only hope is if I approach the Indian embassy and try to get permission from them to approach the Americans, because 99% of my followers are Americans. But if I don't get that permission, I think I will return to India disappointed to live at Vrindavan peacefully for the remaining days. So these letters bring out his struggle, but at the same time they show his determination and his strong desire to fulfill the order of his spiritual master. At the same time, he shows that he will work very hard to fulfill his Guru's desire, but if Krishna wills it, or if it's Krishna's desire, he is willing to retire to Vrindavan peacefully. So Prabhupada, thank you for showing us how to have a positive attitude, how to put in hard work and yet accept the Lord's will in our life with gratitude. Thank you so much, Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Radharani Mataji. And as Madhuri Mataji makes her offering, I'll request Prahlad Priya Prabhu and Gaurang Prabhu to be ready.
Srila Prabhupada, please accept my respectful obeisances. Prabhupada, this world would be so empty and dark without you. If you hadn't so mercifully come and saved us, our lives would be hopeless without you and your disciples. You have saved us all. Although we did not get your personal association, we have felt your presence in so many ways. I would like to share one such incident. In the year 1988, our parents had planned our Diwali vacations here in Mumbai. Daily we would go sightseeing different places, and one of those days we visited Radha Ras Bihari Mandir. After taking darshan, I and my sister happened to see your deity on the Vyasasan, and we were quite young at that time, and we innocently asked our mother, pointing towards you, "Who is he? Who is he?" And my mother said, "Just leave. This is not a very safe place," because they had heard all wrong things about ISKCON then. That's how we left the temple. After that, I don't recall ever remembering that incident ever. But Srila Prabhupada, you, like a very loving grandfather, later, within few years, brought us in the association of your devotees. And the first lecture I distinctly remember attending was the speaker there was speaking about who is Srila Prabhupada and his glories. For everyone there are different triggers for inspiration for coming into Krishna consciousness, like your books, prasadam, devotee care, etc. But for me, it was your divine form and glories. Thereafter, I started attending programs wanting to hear more about you. This is your love and affection, how you didn't ignore the question we had casually asked. Ever since then, we have heard your unlimited glories. But who can fathom your love, your humility, your compassion? All we can say is we have never heard of anyone as compassionate as you. Thank you for allowing us entrance into this wonderful family of ISKCON. On this most auspicious day, we pray to remain loyal and faithful to your teaching. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada ki. As Prahlad Priya Prabhu makes his offering, I'll request His Grace Gaurang Prabhu and Rohini Nandan Prabhu to be ready.
Hare Krishna. Yugata Prabhu spoke about this tree of Tompkins Square Park. Anyone who has visited the Tompkins Square Park would definitely notice a plaque which is kept in front of the Hare Krishna tree. And on that plaque it is very nicely mentioned that how Srila Prabhupada first had a public chanting of the Hare Krishna on October 9th, 1966. And after that there is a small description about the elm tree. And I found this description extremely symbolic and extremely relevant. So I just want to read out this description to all of you, what it mentions about the elm tree. It is published by, or is written by the Department of Park and Recreations of the city of New York. It says like this: the American elm trees are known for their towering canopies, which provide abundant shade through spring, summer and fall. It's rare to find such a collection of American elms, since many of the mature elms planted across the country have been killed by Dutch elm disease. This incurable disease, which is a fungus carried by bark beetles, which colonize on the branches of the elm tree, swept across the US in 1930s and remains a threat to the park's collection of elms even today. Despite having lost at least 34 of the trees, Tompkins Square Park still hosts a large assemblage of elm trees which continues to this day to enchant the park patrons. In Vedic culture, many things have been compared to trees. In the beginning of Mahabharata, the Kauravas are compared to a bitter tree, the Pandavas are compared to a sweet tree. The Srimad Bhagavad Gita in 15th chapter compares the entire Vedic civilization to an inverted tree. This Vedic culture, similarly our Vedic culture, was also a sweet fruit flowering tree with tall canopies and which flourished throughout the summer, winter and fall. It existed across the country, but not just in 1930s, but throughout the past 800 years, and not just the Dutch, but a whole area of conquerors, right from the Mughals up to the British, and more prominently, our own disunited population inflicted by the disease of ignorance. This tree has been almost killed. But despite having lost this Vedic culture in India, right in the heart of this city of Bombay, which is the heart of Maya Devi, we have 4 such elm trees which still continue to enchant the patrons of this city and many more worldwide. And the personality in whose divine connection this elm tree has survived in the city of New York. And this tree of Vedic culture is not only surviving but flourishing and spreading, is that divine personality of Srila Prabhupada. And it's my humble observation that whenever and wherever the Brahmanas or the intellectual class have adhered to the guidance of a pure devotee and sannyasi such as yourself, Srila Prabhupada, this tree of Vedic culture has been successful in fighting with this disease of ignorance, this incurable disease of ignorance. By your mercy, Srila Prabhupada, we have so many intellectuals in this temple, as Srinathji Prabhu rightly mentioned, all adhering to the principles of devotional service. On this auspicious occasion of your appearance, Srila Prabhupada, I humbly beg at your lotus feet and the lotus feet of all your followers that somehow I remain an instrument in your divine plans of preserving, flourishing and spreading the tree of Vedic culture. Hare Krishna. I just, can I have half a minute? Just one small prayer I wanted to offer. 500 years back, within the couple of kilometers of distance from the confluence of the Jalangi and the Ganges, on the island of Antardweep, in the village of Mayapur, was born Krishna Chaitanya. And an epic era of free distribution of love of Godhead followed. 50 years back, within couple of kilometers of the confluence of the East River and the Hudson River, on the island of Manhattan, in the village of East Village, was again born Krishna Chaitanya, that is Krishna Consciousness, in Tompkins Square Park, and followed a wonderful epic era of free distribution of love of Godhead. And now, within 2 kilometers of distance from the confluence of Back Bay and the Arabian Ocean, in the village of Girgaon, this wonderful Tompkins Square Park has again reappeared. This whole thing has happened just on the eve of the day when one of our intellectuals, His Grace Shamanam Prabhu, will be traveling to New York, to Tompkins Square Park. Does this mark the beginning of a wonderful era of free distribution of love of God? I don't know, but I earnestly pray that it does. Hare Krishna.
As all of us know that Krishna jumped from a tree and that tree is still alive, and Srila Prabhupada's holy name also touched this tree, and that's how this tree is alive. As Gaurang Prabhu makes his offering, I'll request Rohini Nandan Prabhu and Kalindi Mataji to be ready.
When Giriraj Maharaj, he came to India, especially after seeing Srinathji Prabhu and Mahaprabhu sitting here, I was reminded that Srila Prabhupada, he was attracting all these young American boys and girls, and Giriraj Maharaj's father, he came and he was arguing with Prabhupada that you give my son back and I'll give you a blank check. Whatever amount you need, you take it, but give my son back. And Giriraj Maharaj whispered in Prabhupada's ear, keep the check and keep me also. And Prabhupada said no. He talked to his father very nicely, and he was saying that your son is making his own free choice. So Giriraj Maharaj's mother, she was very concerned, and she started telling Prabhupada that my son is losing weight, he is not keeping good health. And Prabhupada immediately called some devotees and said, bring some rasgulla and sandesh, and and then he brought right in front of his mother and said, I promise you that we will give him every day at least half a kilo of this. And then his father, he said, my son tells me that when it is hot in India, you go to America. When it is cold in America, you come to India. That's very intelligent of you. Prabhupada said, your son, he observed this and he's come to this conclusion, so he's very intelligent. And because he's your son, you have to be very intelligent. So Giriraj Maharaj's father, he commented to Giriraj Maharaj that I can say two things about your spiritual master and why he has been successful in establishing Krishna consciousness all over the world. First, he is a great organizer, because without being an organizer, you cannot have a movement organized all over the world. And secondly, he knows how to deal with people. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada had these 5 qualities which really made him extremely successful as a leader. First, he was humble. Second, he was extremely enthusiastic. So this is a very powerful combination of having terrific enthusiasm and humility. And then thirdly, Srila Prabhupada appreciated all the devotees and their contributions. Then fourthly, Srila Prabhupada recognized devotees who performed with excellence. He gave special recognition to excellence. And fifthly, Srila Prabhupada gave devotees creative freedom and allowed them to experiment in different ways. And therefore we find that the way Srila Prabhupada established Krishna consciousness all over the world, Shripad Ramanujacharya, and in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya there is one scripture called Prapannamrita Tapan, and in that there are 5 symptoms given of who can be called as a founder Acharya. So there are many Acharyas, but what is the difference between Acharya and a founder Acharya? So it is described that
The founder Acharya is someone who is Uddharaka and Upakarika, one who does good for others and one who is delivering the others with his message. Secondly, it is described a founder Acharya is Dina Bhaya, one who awards fearlessness. Thirdly, a founder Acharya is someone who gives details, commentaries of the Vaishnava scriptures. And Srila Prabhupada presented those commentaries in the English language so that all of us could understand. Otherwise, it was impossible to understand in Sanskrit for majority of the people across the world. And fourthly, a founder Acharya also comments and explains and elucidates all of the songs of the Vaishnava Acharyas and explains about them. And fifthly, a founder Acharya, he is so synonymous with the parampara and the line which he is starting in a certain way that he becomes extremely important personality in that sampradaya or parampara, and practically speaking, people in that line, they refer to the philosophy by his name. So we say that we are following Srila Prabhupada. By Prabhupada's grace we are, understanding all of these scriptures. So the very essence of the scriptures and the conclusions become very closely connected with this personality. Someone asked Srila Prabhupada, have you seen God? So Prabhupada said, if you don't know what is gold and I show you any metal, then how will you know whether it is gold or not? So therefore, if you ask, have you seen gold, and you have not seen gold, you do not even know how to identify what is gold, what is not gold. So therefore, if you are asking me, have you seen God? So my question is, do you know who is God? Do you know how to see God? Do you know the form about God? Do you know all the details about God? He said, no. So Prabhupada said, in that case, since you don't know, whatever I say, you have to accept it. So he says, okay, I will accept. Prabhupada said, then I say, I have seen God. So Srila Prabhupada, he established Krishna Consciousness movement in a very solid way, not just on the basis of philosophy, but whoever interacted with him could experience tangibly that here is a person who is experiencing the presence of Krishna. And therefore Prabhupada's personality and presence was the ultimate answer to all skepticism, all doubts, all other kinds of contradictions. And therefore, in the first 50 years, ISKCON has progressed a lot and we have gone through various challenges. Moving into the future, unless and until the movement is able to inspire devotees who actually have this kind of a tangible experience, it's going to become extremely difficult to defy the various kinds of skepticism, whether the process works or not. So therefore, the real answer to most of the doubts will come when the devotees who are connected to this movement, and when Prabhupada was there, 90% of ISKCON was living in the temples. Today the statistics is exactly reversed. 95% of ISKCON is living in the homes and only 5% is living in the temples. And therefore, the entire paradigm has to be redefined as to how do we inspire people all across the world living in all of these situations to actually experience Krishna consciousness in a tangible way, where they see Krishna consciousness solving the real life problems of their life and giving them a tangible, substantial, internal, enlivening and enlightening experience. And when this happens, then more and more devotees will automatically embrace Krishna consciousness more seriously, with more commitment, and also feel inspired to share Krishna consciousness with others. So on this momentous occasion of the 50th anniversary of the movement, I would like to pray at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada that he gives us the strength to progress into the future generations with a small semblance of the conviction
and fearlessness which he carried. Someone asked Srila Prabhupada, he was arguing, I am fearless, I am God. What do you say? Prabhupada said, when there is a traffic signal, do you stop or not? Do you stop at the red light? He said, yes. Prabhupada, that means you are fearful. So you cannot claim that you are fearless. So therefore Prabhupada's name is Abhay Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, that the ultimate fearlessness comes when there is a tangible experience of Krishna consciousness, and without the grace of great souls and Srila Prabhupada's blessings, it is not possible. So let us pray for this experience. Thank you very much.
Srila Prabhupada ki. So as Rohinanandan Prabhu makes his offering, I'll request Kalindi Mataji and Anand Gopal Prabhu to be ready.
Hare Krishna. For me it is a day of retrospection, whether I am really grateful to Srila Prabhupada, and if yes, then how my actions are. क्या उस कृतज्ञता में मेरे कार्य प्रणाली का सामंजस्य है. दूसरा, क्या मैं उन बातों के लिए मेरे में पश्चाताप है जो मुझे करनी चाहिए थी और मैंने नहीं की, और जो मुझे नहीं करनी चाहिए थी और मैंने की. और तीसरा, वो संतोष, जिस संतोष कि हम कृष्ण कॉन्शियसनेस में आने की कल्पना करते हैं. तो इन तीनों मुद्दों पर अगर मैं अपने आप को उतारूं तो ये देखता हूं कि somehow, somewhere कुछ सेटिस्फैक्शन और जस्ट अबाउट पासिंग. पासिंग कब होता है? 5 तरह की पद्धतियों में. इधर योर वाइस चांसलर डिसाइड देयर इज अ पॉलिसी दैट नो वन विल फेल, और देयर आर ऑब्जेक्टिव टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चंस दैट you just decide that it may be right and happens to be right. Thirdly, the examiner or the checker, he is very, very liberal. Fourth, he gives abundance marks in grace. And Srila Prabhupada, the success of successful people, when they were asked what is the reason, they gave one-liner. Mr. Apple, we know him by Steve Jobs, he says, help the community. Mr. Window, Bill Gates, keep it simple. Another fellow, I'm forgetting his name, but something to do, Martin Luther, or what he mentioned, everybody can be great. Why? Because everybody can serve. Mr. Investment, Warren Buffett, he talks about humility and self-control. Miss Alphabet, her name is Eric, she says, find ways to say yes. Many people have said many one-liners. People have said in past, people will say in future, and people have been saying now. But your life has been completely in line with the teaching of your Guru and in Parampara. And if we follow that line, we are sure we will be in the right line and achieve that. For that, we have got this human form of life. Srila Prabhupada, I am grateful, I am satisfied, but I have some regret And someday I think I will come out of that regret by following your principle. शिक्षा, आचार और विचार में हम सदा रहे कंगाल। आपके ज्ञान के भंडार ने हमें कर दिया माला माल। दे दी शुद्ध भक्ति, दे दी शुद्ध भक्ति की प्रोसेस, साथ ही बने हमारी ढाल। ओ गौर मोहन डे के लाल, तुमने कर दिया कमाल। थैंक यू।
Prabhupada is there. So as Kalindi Mataji makes her offering, I'll request Anand Gopal Prabhu and Rasarani Devi to be ready.
Hare Krishna. Just 2 days back, I was reading from mail one that something of quote of Prabhupada that was sent to me. He spoke this on 10th of August 1977, that is exactly 39 years ago in month of August. And that was just few months before he left this planet. And what was in his mind that time? So he spoke that just continue to expand this Krishna consciousness and do it with courage of an Englishman and heart of a Bengali mother. And he was complete personification of these three things: expanding Krishna consciousness, courage of Englishman, and heart of Bengali mother. When he began Krishna consciousness ISKCON movement in New York, he cooked for his disciples, he cleaned for his disciples, he educated his disciples. And about courage, nobody can, I think there is no parallel found. I cannot see what kind of courage Prabhupada had at that age of 70 years. And it was not just that he had courage, but he infused that courage in his disciples also. His disciples were just few months in Krishna consciousness, and he sent his disciples to different countries to start the centers: Australia, Bangkok, Japan, South Africa, and London, and even to Pakistan, such countries. So that was amazing. And this year we all are celebrating ISKCON 50 years anniversary. And when Prabhupada would quote something in years, like he would mention that Lord Chaitanya appeared just 500 years ago, he would say. That figure was not very big for him, because he was always meditating on what was Lord Chaitanya's mission, and he was always meditating upon Acharyas and his Guru, what was the instructions he was supposed to follow, and he never felt separation from them. So he always felt that it was just 500 years ago, like that. So ISKCON, he started the ISKCON and established this framework of ISKCON from 1966 to 1977. And then after that, almost 38 years, 39 years now, his disciples have filled in that framework. And there has been amazing things that have happened in this framework. I had heard Bhakti Charu Maharaj that he was mentioning that many times some founder leaves the planet. If he starts the movement, he leaves the planet, then many times things go down. But in case of Prabhupada, it has not happened so. It is simply just expanded, and in amazing ways things have expanded, and in such innovative way the preaching is going on at present. And that is just because he is still empowering his disciples and grand disciples to do it, and those who have taken his instructions and his guidelines as his life and soul. So those people are able to make the difference. And Prabhupada also said that I am present in my books. At the same time, he said that my books will be present for next 10,000 years. So he actually predicted that he will be present on this planet. People will be able to experience his presence on this earth planet for next 10,000 years if they just take the essence from his books. So in just 50 years, this is just a beginning. And it's a great hope for all of us grand disciples to think that what not things are going to happen further, because already so many thousands and lakhs of disciples, so many thousands of centers, so much internet preaching going on. Sometimes we don't know that people are practicing Krishna consciousness. They don't want others around to know, but they're actually following Krishna consciousness. They are inspired. So it's going to be a very big journey. And Prabhupada, I simply want to pray to you today on this auspicious day, that in this journey, let me always keep goal of my life, instructions of my spiritual master and parampara, and let all my mental and physical compass always take a back foot. And I really sincerely pray to you to give me dedication, sincerity, determination and strength to make whatever sacrifices are needed just to be an insignificant instrument in this whole journey of ISKCON. Thank you so much, Prabhupada.
Thank you, Kalindi Mataji. And as Anand Gopal Prabhu makes his offering, request Rasran Tulsi Manjari Mataji to be ready.
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. If somebody asks me this question, that can you name me a person who has made the deepest impact in your life, I think the answer is very clear in bold letters. Prabhupada, it's you. I can never forget that day. It's about in the year 1997 when I had your first interaction in the form of coming back. I still remember the cover of the book and that moment. And before reading that book, I just saw the cover page and I saw a young child walk out of the room and an old man walk in. And I read the introduction of the book which spoke about reincarnation. So before opening the book, Prabhupada, I had two questions in my mind. The first question was, what is my understanding of this concept of reincarnation? Because I come from a Jain background where we had a belief of reincarnation, and I'm also in an engineering background where the subject is not spoken about. So my conclusion was that I'm not an authority on either of them, so I don't know. And the most second thing that was in my mind was that one of them is right now true. How does it matter to Ashok Nahar's life? Whether reincarnation exists or it does not exist, it doesn't make any difference because my life is going on, my work is going on, family is going on. So Prabhupada, I started associating with you personally in that book, and 2 hours of reading, I can't forget. It was like a complete flush out. I got those 2 questions back. I said the first question is there life and is there reincarnation? I was convinced that what Jainism has to offer in terms of rebirth and reincarnation, 84 lakh species, Prabhupada was convinced that science was incomplete on that aspect. And my second understanding, Prabhupada, was that ignorance is not a bliss. I better understand the principles if I want to make my life successful. And Prabhupada, after reading and associating, I had a very strong third realization. I said, Prabhupada, I am so convinced with what you are saying in that book, so convinced that you gave me that energy, then the power. I said, now put me in front of any person, I can convince that person based on what I had understood from your book. So Prabhupada, your 2 hours of association has completely made such a deep impact on my life that I have no words to say on that. And you're still making on a daily basis through the medium of your books so much of impact for everyone. So dear Prabhupada, today on the appearance day of the 50th celebration of ISKCON's formation, I would like to offer myself at your lotus feet with a small prayer. Prabhupada, please make me dance the way you want to make me dance. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada ki. Rasrani Devi makes a request Tulsi Manjari Mataji and Ras Manjari Mataji to be ready.
Hare Krishna. A visionary leader sees where the Lord is leading and inspires others to join him. You truly embody the spirit of this quote, Srila Prabhupada. I want to speak about two dreams today. It was Lord Chaitanya's dream that the holy name spreads to every town and village, and then it was Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur's dream that once this happens, all people from these various towns and villages come to the town of Navadvip and perform Sankirtan. And these two dreams were handed down to you, Srila Prabhupada, and it is only your complete faith and desire to fulfill your spiritual master's instructions that gave you the crystal clear vision of creating and nurturing this dynamic Krishna conscious movement. This was evident long before when you accepted sannyas and gave the addressal in English and insisted on the loud chanting of the holy name. The glorious task of translating Srimad Bhagavatam in English indicated your mood of following Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's instructions and preaching the glories of the holy name in the English-speaking world. You knew that all that separated the manifestation of this was time. It is not only your vision, Srila Prabhupada, but your simplicity and practicality that attracted so many towards you. Like a loving parent, you literally handheld the progress of so many devotees in the movement. And today, it is in their cherished memories of you that continue to inspire us. If we only remain sincerely steady in following your instructions, and whatever we learn, we pay it forward, then our lives will be richly successful. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada.
Mataji makes her offering. I'll request Ras Manjari Mataji and His Grace Krishna Chandra Prabhu to be ready.
Hare Krishna. In 1970, Srila Prabhupada came to the ISKCON temple in Calcutta. He was invited to the Radha Govind temple in Malik's property, the neighborhood where he stayed when he was very small. This brought nostalgic memories to his mind, and he mentioned to the devotees who were with him that when he was a very small child, he came here every day with his servant, who put him in a pram and brought him there. Later on, when he grew up, he came there with his sister Bhavatarini every day. He would stand in front of the deities of Radha Govind and appreciate the dressing, and he appreciate how the pujaris there were performing arti, offering various paraphernalia to the deities. He would be there for hours, forgetting the busy Calcutta life outside. When he was a little bigger, he asked his father, Gaur-Mohan Dey, to give him Radha Krishna deities, which he worshipped. Later on, he said that he wanted to organize Jagannath Rath Yatra in his neighborhood. It was an 8-day festival with neighboring devotees, Matajis, cooking bhogas, and it was just a small thing that time, but it was very, very effective, and the neighbors appreciated very much. But little they dreamed that this was just the beginning of the several Rath Yatras we would be having all over the world in future. His father, Gaur-Mohan Dey, wanted him to be a Kirtan leader, Kirtan singer, a good mridanga player, and to recite Srimad Bhagavatam. But little did he imagine that in future he would be the ISKCON founder Acharya of ISKCON, and would be able to have 108 temples during his lifetime and spread 14, he went around the temple 14 times spreading Krishna consciousness. This he was able to achieve because of his broad-mindedness and boldness. He was very compassionate and listened very carefully to what anybody with difficulties had to say, and he gave a perfect solution to the problems. One such incident was that of a devotee who came and lived in a California temple. He used to wash pots and go on Sankirtan, and his mother, who was a journalist, did not approve of it. She wrote to the newspapers and to the government departments saying that ISKCON was ill-treating his son and that it was, he was too much practicing too much of renunciation. She also wrote to Srila Prabhupada about this. Prabhupada tried to explain to her that this was good for his spiritual life, but she was not interested in any such thing of his spiritual life or any dialogue with him. And then, realizing that this would be a danger for ISKCON, the president of the temple requested that boy to leave the temple. But he started crying. He said, "I am here for 1 year. I have not been initiated. And if I go from here, I'll have no link with my spiritual master. And probably I'll never come back here." Prabhupada called him to his room and talked to him gently and said, "So, you're having problem with your mother? Don't worry, I'll initiate you." And he gave him the name Narsim Ananda. And he said, "With this name, you'll be protected from your mother. Now you go home, you cook vegetarian food, offer it, and in this way you lead a Krishna conscious life." And then he added, "And you come back." He had a lot of faith in Srila Prabhupada and his words, and he knew what was his desire. So this boy went to his mother, stayed with his mother for 10 months. During that time, her mind was changed. She realized that ISKCON was an authentic institution, and the boy returned, and everybody was very happy about it. Prabhupada, this is because of your kindness, your compassion, and your bold steps that you have taken, your boldness and your broad-mindedness. You have saved all of us from this drastic material life, and because of your compassion, Mataji has been able to give a little bit of service to this ISKCON movement. Thank you very much, Srila Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada ki. So as Ras Manjari Mataji gives, I'll request His Grace Krishna Chandra Prabhu and Dayal Chandra Prabhu to be ready.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my most humble obeisances at your divine lotus feet. Today's most auspicious day of your appearance day, I am very grateful for being given this opportunity to glorify my dear grandfather. I feel extremely insignificant to stand in front of you, but I am feeling that nevertheless, a grandchild, even if he or she is foolish, grandfather is happy to see her. Prabhupada, an ocean of various qualities like amazing courage, service attitude, humility, great determination, amazing sense of humor, and so many are actually decorating a crown on your head. And truly selfless, genuine love and a compassion for all the living entities are like a precious jewel on that crown. How when you were sitting under this Tompkins Square Park, in a Tompkins Square Park, knowing no one there who knew you, you had no idea that a great body ISKCON will take birth here. You simply had faith on the holy name and had a great desire to follow the instructions of your spiritual master. With that genuine selfless love, you discarded all the externals and touched the heart of all the hippies and transformed them to wonderful Vaishnavas to carry forward the legacy. Srila Prabhupada, once when you were in Hong Kong, you were talking to His Grace Bhurijana Prabhu and asking about their welfare. He said he was doing well, but his wife Jagatarini was not doing so well, and you felt great concern. You told him, please call her inside. As soon as both of them came, they were sitting in front of you. You looked at her with so much compassionate and loving eyes, and you took out a gold ring from your finger and gave it to Jagatarini. You said, this is Jagatarini, this is for you. She felt so extremely loved by a dear father that she just simply started crying. Similarly, Prabhupada, you have touched such loving touch to practically so many people individually. Today, I just pray that I can imbibe this quality to follow the instructions of spiritual master and be truly compassionate in some small fraction and continue to serve in this mission in the mode of servant.
Thank you, Rasmanjari Mataji. So as His Grace Krishna Chandra Prabhu makes his offering, I will request Dayal Chandra Prabhu and Madhurya Leela Mataji to be ready.
It is only after coming to ISKCON and in touch with devotees that I actually even understood, or I actually heard the first time the word causeless mercy. I've never experienced this word before, and now we use it so often. We mention it to discuss many things, sometimes jokingly, but many times we actually do meaningfully say it. That actually, if you reflect on this Tompkins Square Park wonderful event, where was the connection when he started this with all under hardships in 1965 to what we are now talking. 50 years later, we are pouring our hearts out about this particular event, and how this is the beginning of the Hare Krishna movement in a sense. So, when causeless mercy is when something actually happens which has no understanding to us, there is no meaning, there isn't any reason, and yet we are just unlimitedly benefited. I can just share a personal experience of which in fact, though I came in contact with devotees in 1985, but I came to know this only in 1996, that Srila Prabhupada went to on the Jaladuts in August 1965, and a few months before that, it is actually, if you see the Jaladut diary, I came to know only in 96 when I saw the Jaladut diary, which was published in his honor in the centennial year, that on April 12th and May 3rd, there were two occasions he met my father. He has written there to see Mafatlal. And when I checked with my father later, he said yes, he met me. And all he did, my father never helped him as far as I understand. Obviously Prabhupada probably must have gone to ask him. He did buy the set of 3 books, the original 3 ones which he took, which I still have, which he took with him in the trunk on Jaladut. But there was no correlation. From that time, Prabhupada's unlimited mercy, causeless, that maybe a decade later, my sister Maithili Premataji, brother-in-law Shiraji Prabhu, they somehow this contact with ISKCON developed with Prabhupada, and that too initially it was a seemingly confrontational one, but it was only meant to enhance the deepening relationship. And then another decade later, thanks to them, my family also got connected. So when we look back, it is a complete sign of bewilderment as to not even having dreamt of a lifestyle like this, not having a slightest desire to go beyond our comfort zone in a material achievements. How does Srila Prabhupada in just one life give this that where a very minor act of buying his books manifests in two families coming under his shelter. So just extrapolating that, what is happening all over the world to millions of people through his books, through his devotees, through the lectures, kirtans, through the deities, to the temples, we cannot begin to understand what is actually churning inside. And then we get a slight glimpse of what it could mean maybe in the future, that there will be a golden period within the Kali Yuga. And this means that, as Kalindi Mataji said, that we are just going through a moment, the 50 years, 100 years, few hundred years, it's just like a moment in time, and we are very fortunate to be in that. So lastly, I was just thinking that yesterday I was spent most of my time here in front, and I was just reflecting how much we are under His Prabhupada's protection, and what can we give, what can we do to reciprocate this, because every one of us has got this causeless mercy, because we cannot understand why we are sitting here, why we are in contact with these devotees, why we are in contact with this philosophy, and why us and why not somebody on the street. And then the only way is that as Srila Prabhupada became the willing instrument as a pure devotee in the hands of Krishna, as like all the acharyas have, as his disciples are also have sacrificed their life and lent themselves to be just a utensil in the hands of their Guru. So it is our duty to try and be just an instrument in whatever way we do, but allow ourselves. We don't know what we can do, we don't know our capacity, we don't know what we can impact, but what we do know, we can have this faith that Prabhupada, if we take one step towards him, like Krishna does, Prabhupada will be unlimitedly grateful because we are helping his mission, and he would give that much more strength to us. And by doing that, he will somehow empower us to be able to help. So many times we hear devotees say that, and I have seen also that somebody who I would never have imagined having any capacity, but in getting somebody who is supposedly very intellectual or very powerful, rich, etc., and then they come because this simple person, so-called simple person, has convinced them. So what is that spark which Prabhupada saw in his early disciples when all of them were sitting here? The filthy, dirty, smelly, people were just there who had no inclination at all to just follow his, they had no understanding. They were just simply rebellious. And what Prabhupada saw in that, he will see in us. And when he sees in us, if we actually, to the extent that we really have that desire to help him, that's all he wants. Then when he does that, then we could be part of this causeless mercy unknowingly, and therefore even the difficulties, tragedies and challenges that come in our life are certainly Krishna's arrangement, if you see it that way, that if we take that step, then we are willing to be a causeless instrument to allow us to be part of his causeless mercy and use us as his instruments. So thank you, Srila Prabhupada, and I am eternally grateful to you for whatever you have done for us.
Thank you, Krishna Chandra Prabhu. And as Dayal Chandra Prabhu makes his offering, I will request Madhuri Leela Mataji and Vishaka Priya Mataji to be ready.
Kindly accept my humble obeisance, Srila Prabhupada. Actually, Prabhupada was such a person. One thing he was knowing before leaving to United States, he took the essence, real truth, path of perfection before boarding Jaladuta. As soon as he reached there, the first thing he gave under the Tompkinson Square garden, under the tree, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Actually, he gave the truth to every whole world. Actually, it's the same thing, because this Mahamantra is going to purify every living being. And even today the same emphasis is going on Mahamantra. Actually, Prabhupada, he was not impressed with all American latest technology or skyscrapers, roads and all. Prabhupada was in tears because they have gone on so deep, dark well, it is very difficult to bring them back. They have gone very dark, deep material world. Prabhupada was in tears. But one thing, Prabhupada, it was very tough for Prabhupada after going over there. He was sponsored for 1 month by Agarwal, but he just said Krishna will take care, that faith. And he was, all the time he was moving here and there, so many yoga people. But Prabhupada wanted to give the perfect philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And he was searching, is there any place I can give my absolute truth, which is, I brought it from my spiritual master. Finally, then he comes to 26 2nd Avenue. Srila Prabhupada says, I got one place, the rent was $200, but there was not even an earning member. But I had a faith, Krishna will fulfill this. And that faith was such, Prabhupada said, after a month, the men also started coming and money also started coming. This is only faith. And if you have faith, sincerely, Krishna will give arrange everything for your purpose. It will be beneficiary. And Prabhupada said, even he was telling one thing, that even academical qualification, lots of money, that will not help us. And he is giving one example. That time, that Rockefeller was the richest person that time. Prabhupada said, whatever the Rockefeller is doing, it will be totally failure. And he will be defeated. Because whatever he is doing it, up to the time of his body only. Krishna consciousness is, it is much higher. Paramdrishta nivartante. You are properly connecting your soul to the Supreme Soul. That is the goal of life in human form of life. Even after 84 lakhs of species, only after Prabhupada said, and he analyzed in such a way, 4 lakh species are human form. And he said, you have to be the topmost out of that 4 lakhs. And you have to come to the peak. That is path of perfection. Very clearly Prabhupada said. And that you can attain by chanting the holy name. The holy name is everything. Soul will have a connection and it will have all the best quality, godly quality, and 2 minutes time he has given it. So ultimate is that we have to chant our holy name sincerely. It is not that early morning 2 hours we are arranging our mind to the world tour. Normally it happens 2 hours normally. This has to be connected with Krishna. Exclusively for Radha Krishna's purpose we are using it, and soul is bathing with the holy name and our conscience will be purified. Our best chanting, Prabhupada was asked, people are asked Prabhupada, why your people are chanting? Prabhupada said, for the best chanting, you have to chant the holy name only. So Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Even the first day also, even up to now also, ultimately the holy name is everything. So in this auspicious day, Srila Prabhupada give us some drop of energy to fulfill whatever the things are in our movement. We'll try to give this, make it practice and give this to extra to other people. So this is what we beg with you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada used to always say that none of us know that how much time is left with us. I would like to tell all the speakers that they have 2 minutes to speak. So as Madhuri Lila Mataji makes her offering, I'll request Vishaka Priya Mataji and Shidam Prabhu to be ready.
Hare Krishna.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, this temple has been my home for more than 16 years. And like every child of the devotees here, it's very common that we take things for granted, especially the things that come very easily to us. So when me and my husband had to move to the United States in 2006, that's when reality struck. And my first fear was, will there be a temple? If this temple is not going to be there, will I be able to live near a temple? But because of Srila Prabhupada, thank you so much for your efforts. We were living very near ISKCON Philadelphia for 10 years, and we valued your effort in establishing temples in every major city. That was our home when we were away from home. Then we were wondering whether we'll have association of devotees, will we be able to do services. And just to meet, it was so much effort to go and meet devotees and do services together. We valued association of every minute that we got. We got the association of many of your dear disciples, and we're very, very grateful for that too. Thank you for your vision of having Vaishnav communities all over the world where we can find home away from home. As we got involved, we started doing many services, including the cooking for Sunday feast programs, Rath Yatras, and many others. And the effort, and I always wonder, you should say that it takes buckets of blood to make one devotee, and I would wonder, why would it take buckets? It's so easy, just come upstairs, dance, chant, eat, what's the problem? But when we had to struggle there to cook, cut, clean, wash, dishes, serve, do everything by ourselves. We didn't have laborers and helpers there. When we did that over and over and again, that's when we valued a plate of prasadam given in our hands. And the prasadam distribution program and the compassion that you had, that entire program came to life when we actually did something like that there. We had to drive at least 12-14 hours to get association of sannyasis who would read and give Srimad Bhagavatam classes, to attend kirtans. We had to put so much effort to even do that over there. Now that we are back, we are so much valuing these things here, which we had to put in so much effort. But thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for giving us that opportunity even there. And being in the United States for 10 years, we came across so much chemicalization of the world, where we highly appreciated your vision of simple living and high thinking. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for bringing the values back to us when we were not at home. Thank you so much, Srila Prabhupada.
So as Vishaka Priya Mataji makes her offering, I'll request His Grace Sridhama Prabhu and Nikunj Bihari Prabhu to be ready.
On Prabhupada's 78th birthday, when Prabhupada was sitting in some temple in the US, he was reminiscing how 8 years back when Prabhupada left for America, when he was coming there, he was saying that his godbrothers gave him a small send-off type of thing in the lawn of a big rich businessman, and they were sitting on a round table and having dinner, and Prabhupada was sitting at the head of the table, and when they served out prasad, he started to have with his hands, and his godbrothers told him, that you are planning to go to America and you are not using the spoon and fork which is put on the table, and how are you going to go to the West and do preaching over there? And Prabhupada looked straight at his godbrothers and he said, I am not going there to teach them all these things, actually I am going there to make them forget how to use these things. And Prabhupada was just so convinced of what he was trying to do. One of the time when Prabhupada was, we all know about the moon landing episode which happened. The second time when they were telecasting it on television, Yamuna Mataji and, Malti Mataji and all were sitting over there. And that particular day Malti Mataji was cooking kachoris. And Prabhupada and other devotees were, while taking massage, Prabhupada was telling them, put on the television, let's see some fun. Let's have some fun. What they are showing on the television. Because the first time Prabhupada had very categorically said that the whole world was watching how man landed on the moon. One man was sitting there and saying, nobody ever went to the moon. And it looked so crazy. Some devotees couldn't accept and they left Krishna consciousness because of this. And Prabhupada was calling Malti Mataji and she said, Malti, come and watch the fun which we are seeing, over here. And she was making kachoris, and after seeing the whole thing, he made a very wonderful statement to the disciples. He said, in my eyes, the significance of Malti making kachoris for Krishna to offer it to him is much more a significant event than man landing on the moon. I mean, what a conviction of Prabhupada. Like Krishna Chandra Prabhu was saying that some of these words we never knew, like causeless mercy. What is conviction? Till we join Krishna consciousness. Because to do something in life, we all need to have some conviction, to have the strength and the focus for what we are all doing. And Prabhupada was just absolutely, he was so bold. Another time when he was in London, and he was in a park, and he was going for a walk, every day his servant would pick one twig from the tree and keep it for him to be used as a datun. So, like every day he did it, and one policeman caught him. And he said that, how can you do this? This is all government property, and you people have no manners, and whatever he was telling. And he said, who are you with? So he said, I've done it for my spiritual master. He's saying, take me to him. So he went to Prabhupada, and this policeman started complaining to Prabhupada, is this what you teach your disciples to, harm government property and all? And Prabhupada kept on hearing him, and he asked him, are you finished? So the policeman, after some more time, he said, yes. And then Prabhupada looked straight into the eyes of the policeman, and he told him, your country people came to my country and robbed us of everything, and we didn't say anything. And we are taking one small twig from your garden, and you are making such a big thing out of it. I mean, he was just so bold and so convinced. When he was on the London airport, and some of the reporters were taking interview from him, and Prabhupada introduced his disciples, and he says, don't think these young boys and girls are ordinary people. You are taking my interview, but they are not ordinary people, because in his mind he was thinking that what 35 years before his seasoned godbrothers couldn't do in London, his new disciples who had just joined Krishna consciousness like 1 year, 2 years back, they had come and they could establish Krishna consciousness with a strong footing in London, which was like, that was the dream of Prabhupada. So Prabhupada was telling that they are no ordinary people, and he was telling some devotees that, do you know why that was possible? Because they love me. Whatever they are doing because of love for me. So it was such a revealing thing that in our life we are also defocused, especially myself. Like we have so many things in our mind going, and we are not able to focus on anything, and that's why, and the reason is because we are not convinced. So on today's day we like to pray to Prabhupada that if we can, if we can just have some more conviction in our lives, so that we can lead a more focused Krishna conscious life to be able to do some contribution in the mission. Thank you.
Srila Prabhupada ki. So as Sridham Prabhu makes his offering, I'll request Nikunj Bihari Prabhu and Sita Mataji to be ready.
So since we are on the topic or the occasion of the 50 years of ISKCON, I was just thinking about in the 1960s when Srila Prabhupada was in the mid-60s when Prabhupada was trying to establish ISKCON, what was the other thing that was happening in the world? And I was just going through the different histories of what all things happened in the 1960s. And very interesting that while Prabhupada was in America 1965-66 establishing ISKCON, it was also the year in the 2 years, 65, 66 and 67, 3 years, there were 3 very powerful inventions which were made in the world. The video game was invented in 1965. The first video game came in 1965. The cordless communication started in 1966. The first cordless phone communication. And the first time a microprocessor based computer was invented in 1966. And I was thinking here, and many more, of course it was also the year where the first coronary bypass heart surgery took place. So many good things were happening, but also these 3 things, video games, microprocessor computers and cordless communication was done. And this were, we all know they are weapons of mass distraction, and we can see now to what extent they are distracting the civilization. This was in the 60s. And while this was happening, Srila Prabhupada was busy distributing Krishna consciousness, and which we can see he had the weapons of mass salvation. He was busy creating weapons and distributing weapons of mass salvation because he knew the amount of distraction and destruction that these things will be caused. And it was so amazing that in the 50 years, when the world population right now is close to 7.5 billion, that ISKCON in 50 years has distributed more than 500 million books. And if my maths is right, that means 1 in every 15 person on an average in the world has Srila Prabhupada's books. And this is so interesting, and the reason why Prabhupada could do what he did is another very important concept. If you see, the whole world is constantly tuned into this frequency of WIIFM. And what does it mean? It means what is in it for me. WIIFM. Everybody's thinking about what can I gain from this, I'll do it. And if I don't gain something from it, it's none of my business. But here, what really amazes me is Prabhupada was so much in a mood of what can I do for the world. He was completely aloof of this concept of WIIFM, the frequency that most the world is tuned into, about constant selfishness. And Prabhupada was the epitome or a personification of selflessness, and that's why he endured all the hardships that we all know for establishing Krishna consciousness. So while we are celebrating this 50 years, it is a joyous, festive occasion, wonderful that institute, a very, very wonderful institute like ISKCON has achieved 50 years. And in our Indian culture, we call this 50 years as the Suvarna Mahotsav. It's a golden Mahotsav that we are celebrating. But at the same time, I was just thinking that while we are celebrating the 50 years of ISKCON establishment, we're actually right on the beginning of the next 50 years. And the next 50 years, that is 100 years, are called the Amrit Mahotsav. 50 years is Suvarna Mahotsav and the 100 years Amrit Mahotsav. And Amrit, we all know, does not come without the process of churning. And this next 50 years for all of us, if we have been part of ISKCON, there is already churning happening, but there will be intense churning that is required. Purification of the heart. If we have to really celebrate, and I'm sure, most of us would not be there for the 100 years celebration. Many of you will be there. But it will be such a wonderful thing that while we are celebrating 50 years, it is a time for all of us to be thinking about very responsibly, very seriously about how we can do to make the next 50 years successful the way it was the previous 50 years. So while we are celebrating in a joyous way, we also all need to be rededicating our commitment to Srila Prabhupada, so that in whatever years that we have to be part of ISKCON service, we can make this coming 50 years as glorious, if not more, to the 50 years that we already celebrated. And Prabhupada, we need your blessings for the same. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So as Nikunj Bihari Prabhu is making his offering, I'll request Sita Mataji and His Grace Govind Prabhu to be ready.
It was just a few years back when Radhanath Swami's father and I were on an evening stroll on Marine Drive, when he suddenly asked me, "Since how long have you known Krishna?" Well, I said, "Possibly since I have been a little kid." He immediately answered back, "Tell me why then should a young American boy come all the way and tell you about Krishna?" You all know what my answer would have been, so I will not repeat. This is what you did, Srila Prabhupada. Transformed so many young hearts so convincingly got those hearts to further change many other hearts too, and so on. This surely is the best example of the most advanced multi-level marketing. Quoting Radhanath Swami, I quote, "In spite of all challenges, Srila Prabhupada saw Krishna in everything and everywhere. His realizations are so profound that when he speaks through his writings and his examples, he surcharges people's heart with sublime understanding of Krishna consciousness, the greatest gift given by Guru and Krishna." Unquote. For most people like us involved in so many worldly responsibilities, who would have ever thought of picking up a Srimad Bhagavatam or an Isha Upanishad or any other such advanced scripture unless they were presented in a manner which was so easily understandable to us? Like an old American devotee said, "Prabhupada, you have presented Krishna consciousness as simple as some cereal on a breakfast table. Prabhupada, you have made this a way of our daily life." But you did go through so many difficulties and austerities in bringing this simple cereal to our tables. Tamal Krishna Goswami once mentioned in his offerings that in 1944, in the middle of the World War, there were no paper available in Calcutta market, so you could not publish your Back to Godhead magazine. All paper was reserved for the use of the army. You did not give up. You met a big officer who said, "Swamiji, all the paper has to be reserved for the war." And you replied, "Exactly, my paper is directly in the interest of the war because my paper will bring peace." And you got the paper and published Back to Godhead. You stood up against the odds, against the opposition all along in so many situations, and Krishna made you successful and miracles happened. Unquote. Srila Prabhupada, once you asked a devotee, "Can you quote the verse?" He could not. Prabhupada said, "Just see, you're not reading my books. You have to read my books and you have to study and learn my books. Just like a lawyer learns the law books. You must know everything, chapter and verse. If you do not know, how will you teach these men unless you know my books? Every day you have to read my books. Do you know that every day even I read my own books? Do you know why I read my own books? I read my books every day because even I learn something new when I read them. Do you know why I learn something new when I read my books? Because these books are not my books. I do not write these books. Every morning when I sit here to write my books, Krishna comes personally and he dictates to me what to write. I simply take dictation from Krishna and I write these books. Therefore, when I read them, even I learn something." Recently, Radhanath Maharaj and one of his good and an influential friend from the US were having prasad. His friend asked, "Swami, what would you have been if not a Krishna devotee?" Maharaj smiled and looked at me. I immediately answered in my ignorance, "Well, maybe a chairman of one of the large companies of the world." He looked back at Maharaj. Maharaj kept quiet and then profoundly said, "Dead." Thank you, Prabhupada, for keeping us alive. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
So as Sita Mataji makes her offering, I'll request His Grace Govind Prabhu and Radha Kund Prabhu to be ready.
Prabhupada, please accept my most humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 50 years ago you took the most arduous and painstaking journey to reach the shores of New York City. That arduous journey in which you suffered 2 heart attacks, which you tolerated just to fulfill the instruction of your Guru Maharaj.
to give Krishna consciousness to the fallen souls of America. New York City was blessed with the presence of a Paramhamsa devotee of the Lord. I often wonder, why was this city chosen? Of all the cities in the world, why did Srila Prabhupada choose New York City? What was so special about the people of this city? What was the impact that Srila Prabhupada's visit or stay in New York City, how did it make a difference to the people of New York? I should say that I feel blessed that I had this experience in New York City, which I see it as a mercy of Srila Prabhupada and an expression of his love and blessing, and I feel happy today to share this experience that I had in New York with all of you. In my recent visit to New York in the month of May, me with my family, we were traveling in a subway to see the Central Park for the first time, and it is a very beautiful park, and somehow we got lost. We took the wrong train and we missed the station in which we were supposed to get off to see the the Central Park. And in one of the stations, and a very old elderly gentleman with a walking stick, little heavy, he just struggled and he got onto the subway, into the train, and right near the door we were standing and chanting with our bead bags, and as soon as he saw us, with a booming voice he spoke, "Hare Krishna," and we were shocked because he looked like a typical New Yorker, a typical American, and he said, "Are you from Manhattan Temple?" And we said, "Yes, we are just coming from there." He said, "In 1971, I used to visit the Manhattan Temple every day on my way to work. Me and my friend, we used to go to this New York temple, and on the terrace, we met this most amazing, great personality, Srila Prabhupada, who used to give out cookies." And then he showed, "You see this finger on my little finger? This is the hand which Srila Prabhupada touched me one day. And I had such a wonderful experience." With tears in his eyes, he said that this is just in a memory of that experience with Srila Prabhupada. And I got tears in my eyes at that moment. And then he said, "And you know what? Now when I look back, Prabhupada was the same age as what I am now, the walking stick." He said he was not a man. He was the greatest man on this earth. In fact, for me, he was like Jesus Christ, a person who has come to deliver me. And all this he was speaking in a booming voice on a New York subway. And I felt so blessed to be in his presence. I felt so honored and to hear this from him. And I realized, what is the chance that you can meet a person whose life has been impacted by Srila Prabhupada in such a way that after 50 years he is remembering Srila Prabhupada with tears in his heart just because he touched his hand with so much love. And to remember that, he has put a ring which says Hare Krishna, and he showed that with so much pride. And I felt that this is a direct reciprocation of Srila Prabhupada's love and blessings which I received on that day, and I wanted to share this with all of you, that this is the true quality of a Paramhamsa. I've written few words, a small poem glorifying Srila Prabhupada's quality as a Paramhamsa. A swan is a creature divine, forever enjoys in a celestial lake, beautiful, pure, white and fine, feathers adorning its beautiful face. Swims gracefully on the tranquil waters with head held high above, untouched by the dirt and grime, stands for purity of divine love. Similarly, a Paramhamsa, soul graced by the Supreme Lord, remains like a beautiful swan in this world, but not of this world. And that is the quality we see of Srila Prabhupada, who transformed millions of lives like a Paramhamsa. On the other hand, the crow, a creature most foul, forever found in a garbage heap, dirty and ugly, forever on the prowl, to eat the dead and the decaying deep. Today I feel like that crow, trying to enjoy the abominable things of this material world, which are nothing but a pilgrimage for the crows and the hogs. Today I beg for a drop of your mercy, so I get over this lowly self and try to serve your mission in a selfless mood by preaching in the US, which is also the mission of my Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
So I'll request His Grace Govind Prabhu to make his offering.
So people talk about expecting miracles. We see in the life of Prabhupada, there are three levels. One is expecting miracles, working for miracle, and experiencing miracle. Those who expect miracles, they have nightmares, because miracles do not happen when we expect, but somebody works for miracle. Without expecting miracle, they experience miracle. Therefore Prabhupada would say that what he was planning to do was like trying to hunt a rhino. And even if you fail hunting the rhino, nobody criticizes you. And you don't feel that you are a failure, at least you tried your best. So therefore, I remember I came expecting a miracle. I've never told this story. We were a small group of young people, and we'll all come together and listen something about our Indian culture. And some other he came in touch with devotees, and there was a tape, a Hindi tape. Somebody had sent it from Bombay. And in that tape we were listening, young people who were very much attached to our country. So in that lecture Prabhupada said, अरे पाकिस्तान क्या लगा 18 दिन में पाकिस्तान दे देंगे आपको, as if it is an apple. I said, wow, this person can perform the miracle, right? So he was so convinced about doing something. So therefore we have experienced or we have heard about miracles from different devotees. I remember a place where I came from. Again, when we all started coming to Krishna Consciousness, we would sit in a place and discuss about how to spread Krishna Consciousness without knowing what Krishna Consciousness. I think this is one of the diseases of Hare Krishna devotees, a good disease. They think about spreading without even knowing what Hare Krishna is. So that time only 3 people, and we would run behind a car which would have a name Hare Krishna also to see, are they devotees? And within no time, in that same city, 80,000 people would take prasad during the Rath Yatra festival. From somewhere only 1 or 2 people sitting and discussing, and then suddenly seeing 80,000 people take prasad. So that was experiencing miracle. Another point of Srila Prabhupada is very interesting about his leadership. In this world, some leaders, they only think about growing at the cost of exploiting their people. And there are some leaders who are very caring for their people without working for growing. Because growth and caring, apparently for ordinary people, they are contradictory to each other. A growth has a problem of exploiting, and caring has a problem of not growing. But Prabhupada brilliantly combined these two, of growing and caring, and therefore we are able to celebrate the 50th year of ISKCON's establishment. So therefore Srila Prabhupada, on this occasion, I pray that we combine these two of caring and growing, and at the same time, rather than sitting lazy expecting miracle, let us work to do something which is tangible and relevant, so that miracle is experienced rather than expected. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. As Radha As Radhakund Prabhu makes his offering, then Gaur Gopal Prabhu will read Radhanath Swami Maharaj's offering. Hare Krishna.
I will be reading my offering. Srila Prabhupada, on 15th August, we had a Sanskrit seminar conducted our base classroom by a Sanskrit scholar, Dr. Panda from Ahmedabad. He was glorifying you so much for the presence of ISKCON in the different countries that he had visited. He was also very happy to find the distribution and reading of Bhagavad Gita as it is in different local languages in different parts of the world. When he visited Kenya, he was surprised to find the locals in the temple, men wearing dhoti and kurta and women wearing saris. He also saw that the locals were making offerings to Krishna and distributing as Mahaprasad. He mentioned how you had influenced the lives of so many people in different parts of the world. It gave him so much pleasure to see how people were recognizing and appreciating your efforts, and reminded me of your prophetic statement, history will mark this period, how the Krishna Consciousness movement changed the world. Yesterday's Grace Govind Prabhu quoted these words in the class, Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mahi pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sacha me na pranashyati. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. And you manifest this consciousness so much in your personality, Srila Prabhupada. How very much we can appreciate this aspect when we see the vision you gave in executing the spreading of this Krishna Consciousness movement. Unbounded enthusiasm and foresightedness. I just happened to come across some of your letters, and this is what you mentioned to Gargahuni Maharaj and Gurudas Prabhu. We have received one letter from Cox and Kings, who are very big tourist guides, and they have asked that they would like our society to help them in meeting the increasing demand of tourists to India who come to India for spiritual and religious reasons. And treating this proposal as nice and important, you beseech your disciples to take the necessary help and create this program enthusiastically, since you are very much in favor of it. You gave such detailed guidelines. You wanted ISKCON centers to play an important role in this, and agreed with proposals from such agencies requesting that we provide accommodations for tourists so that the ISKCON guest house could be included in official tours of spiritual India. People were always coming to India, you noted, to tour the holy places. Unfortunately, most of the places were unauthorized or overrun by cheaters. ISKCON centers, therefore, would be very important, you said. Have a European preaching center and try to enlist all the tourists and hippies who come to Vrindavan, give them nice prasadam and engage them in chanting, cleaning the temple and reading our books. Give them all facility for becoming devotees. We have a department in our temple called as Sacred Journeys for last 9 years, which caters to various yoga groups from the different parts of the world. We take them to different parts of India on spiritual tours and also make them visit our Govardhaniko village at Galtare near Vada. We also visit ISKCON temples and attend kirtans and feed them Krishna Prasad. Mr. Robert Moses of Namarup Yatra Group from New York has been bringing his group for last 9 years. He has been very happy visiting India and our centers in India. He was recently invited in New Hampshire, USA to give a talk on his visits to India and his experience with the Indian culture. His talk and some photographs of his visits to India were reported in the local newspaper. Then in another letter to Sri Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, which is regarding teaching other kinds of yoga so that we may advertise an 8 or 9 day course for tourists, you said that will be very attractive. Other types of yoga are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. We can adopt that. 3 or 4 men and I can teach how to do it. Then you will be able to attract them. I can teach how to sit down, posture, asana, pranayam without any difficulty. The yoga system as mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, we can take up. That will be bhakti-yoga. From last year, with the guidance of my Gurudev, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, and with his help of Gaurang Prabhu and the Govardhaniko village team, we have started such yoga programs at the Govardhaniko village, like 3 days of Yoga Darshan, 8 days of Yoga Pravesh, and 28 days of Yoga Praveen. Srila Prabhupada, by the mercy of my Gurudev, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, you have engaged me in assisting in this vision of yours, and hope that we may endeavor more in this direction for your pleasure. For now, more than ever, there are such powerful ways to outreach. But you could envision this then. because you could perceive Krishna in everything. So many methods you tried just to give people a chance to practice Krishna consciousness. Now also I meet so many of them from the Western world who are either touched by you or your followers in some way. They were not able to practice then or left midway, but having once tasted the efficacy of this process, were trying to find their way back. This all leads me to admire your personality all the more and gives me so much more hope and confidence to practice Krishna consciousness. But also, I admire your patience and tolerance all the more along with your enthusiasm, Srila Prabhupada. Having experienced firsthand the type of cultures the people from the Western world come from makes me feel the burden of gratitude that I owe you, and which I know cannot be repaid, but reciprocate in whatever way you may engage me in your service. On this 50th anniversary of ISKCON, I thank you for forming this institution and giving us shelter. Thank you, Founder Acharya of ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada ki.
So as we come towards the end and the last offering of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj to be read out by His Grace Gaur Gopal Prabhu, I'd like to apologize to all those devotees who could not make their offering to Srila Prabhupada due to lack of time.
Please accept my sincerest obeisances and my life as a servant of your servants. This year, throughout the world, in hundreds of temples, in thousands of homes, and in millions of hearts, the 50th anniversary, a great milestone in the success of your life's mission, your founding the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is being celebrated. As I write this offering, I'm sitting in a little storefront on the Lower East Side of New York City, in the place where 50 years ago, the seed of your lifelong aspiration became a tiny flowering bud, about to blossom and spread its fragrance across the world. Here, while gazing out of my window, I'm listening to recordings of your memories of those beginning days. In your own words, you bring us back to 1922. When this friend, Mr. Malik, took me to Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, he immediately asked me, "You are educated young boys. Why don't you take up Lord Chaitanya's message and preach in the Western world?" In the very first sight, he told me. After describing your lifetime in preparation to fulfill your Guru Maharaj's will and your historic voyage across the world on a cargo ship, you bring us with you to New York City in 1965. When I came to your country without any friend, without any means, practically just like a vagabond I came, but I had full faith that my Guru Maharaj is with me. You describe your hopes, struggles, and limitless compassion as you pass through one challenge after another. A Vrindavan sadhu wearing the simplest saffron cloth and white plastic shoes, wandering alone, seeking to share the treasures of the spiritual world in New York City, the massive, ever-expanding capital of materialistic life. In the recording, you continue, "I was maintaining myself by selling these books for 1 year. In this way, by selling these books, I had only $200 and I dared to take one apartment and storefront. The storefront was $125 per month and the apartment was $75. I had only $200. So I advanced him $200. I did not know how to pay next month's rent. I started in 1966, lecturing in the storefront and living in that apartment in 26 2nd Avenue. Then gradually, these American boys and girls began to come. I started my kirtan in Tompkins Square. More and more these young Americans, they came to me and things were organized. Then I registered this Krishna Consciousness Society under the Religious Act of New York, and gradually people took interest. In this way, 5 or 6 students used to come. Srila Prabhupada, in your ecstatic love for Krishna, you see everything as Krishna's sacred property. Every living being is very dear to you. Still, through your own intimate words, we gain a glimpse into how especially dear ISKCON is to you. How especially dear to you are those early devotees who helped when you were practically alone. How especially dear to you for all time to come are devotees who endeavor to follow your teachings, encourage your devotees, and offer favorable service to your beloved society. We all have the opportunity to show our love for you by cooperating to serve your life's mission, ISKCON. As it passes through both euphoric celebrations and at times inconceivable heartbreaks and challenges. As I gaze out of my window into the clamor of New York City, I see people rushing about, desperately seeking relief from the onslaughts of conditioned life, or searching for anything that might bring them a trace of satisfaction. But as I remember you, my heart fills with hope and gratitude. In this lifetime, all that really matters is how we please you. You asked us to sincerely chant the names of God and follow Krishna's teachings. With tears of love, you appealed to us to assist to you in fulfilling the order of your Guru Maharaj by sharing the matchless gift of devotional service with each other and with everyone. Radhanath Swami.
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So the next program is Pushpanjali. We'll have Pushpanjali led by Gaur Gopal Prabhu. Thereafter, Guru Puja, the Aarti will be done by His Grace Mahaprabhu Prabhu, and the Kirtan will be by His Grace Rishikeshanand Prabhu. There are few important announcements for the Pushpanjali. We request devotees when they for Pushpanjali, kindly don't throw flowers, keep it with them. You will find some baskets nearby with you, devotees will be around you. Deposit those flowers in the basket and eventually the basket will come to Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. This we are trying to do just to not ruin the temple floor. So this is about Pushpanjali. We also want to offer our gratitude to following devotees for making this beautiful darshan of Tompkins Square Park. We have Keshav Chandra Prabhu along with his team of Pran Gopal Prabhu, Umesh Modak Prabhu, Ashish Prabhu, Nehal Mataji and her team, Ashwin Rajpal, Vrindavan Kishore Prabhu and the Vidyapit devotees. Let us thank them by loudly chanting 3 times. Hare Bol. And today's Nandotsav feast is sponsored by Mr. Hiralal Jain and Mrs. Madhu Jain. So let us express our best wishes, gratitude and prayers by loudly chanting again 3 times. Hare Bol. So all the devotees are requested to rise for Pushpanjali.
Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांता स्वामीनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती इति नामिने श्रीवार्षभानवी देवी दयिताय कृपाब्धये कृष्ण संबंध विज्ञान दायिने प्रभवे नमः माधुर्योज्वल प्रेमाढ्य श्रीरूपानुग भक्तिदा श्री गौर करुणा शक्ति विग्रहाय नमोस्तुते नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दीनतारिणे रूपानुग विरुद्धाप सिद्धान्तध्वान्तहारिणे नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षाद्वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्भरसाम्भोदे पादाम्बुजायते नमः नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुगवरायते गौराविर्भावभूमेस्त्वम् निर्देष्टा सज्जनप्रियः वैष्णवः सार्वभौमः श्रीजगन्नाथाय ते नमः वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकम् भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यम् नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम् हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते जयतां सुरतौ पंगो मम मंदमतेर्गति मत्सर्वस्वपदाम्भोजो राधा मदन मोहनो दिव्याद् वृन्दारण्य कल्पद्रुमाधः श्रीमद्रत्नागार सिंहासनस्थो श्री श्री राधा श्रील गोविंद देवो प्रेष्ठालिभिः सेव्यमानौ स्मरामि श्रीमान्द्रासरसारम्भी वंशीवटतटस्थितः कर्षण्वेणुस्वनैर्गोपीर् गोपीनाथः श्रियेस्तु नः तप्तकाञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामीनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। एष पुष्पांजलि श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामीनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। एष पुष्पांजलि श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामीनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। एष पुष्पांजलि श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। गुरु पूजा Prabhupada Prabhupada. Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada. Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Guru Charanah Padmah Kevalah Bhakti Sadmah Vanda Mohi Savadana Mate Jahan rah prasad bhan eva bhatariya jahan Krishna prapti ho jahan hoite Guru mukha padma vakya chitte te kariya kya Arna kariya man asha Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Kamagati Jai Prasad Pure Sarvasha Jai Prasad Pure Sarvasha Jacchudan Tiloke Janma Janma Prabhu Ke Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito Prema Bhakti Jai Vedgai Jahar Charito Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu Lokanath Lokera Jivana Aha Prabhu Karo Daya Re Hamare Padachaya
Ebejas Gushukti Bhuvana Ebejas Gushukti Bhuvana Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Dishatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya 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 Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai. Gaur Pramanande, Srila Prabhupada ki.